There we are. So Natasha, it is so good to have you back here. We haven't spoken probably in like a few years. We were talking together in a live on Instagram, if I remember correctly. And that was interesting in itself because we talked a lot about the connection of the body, the mind coherence needed with the body. And, you know, the pandemic was crazy for everyone, as we know, and there was a lot of lockdowns and people were shut in their homes and all of these things. And so I think what I'd like to focus on today with our interview is our coherence that we can have with nature and why we need nature. And I love you because you're always talking about nature and you're always showing these little cacao drinks you're having and you're always mixing the herbs and you're always out in your garden. And I just know that your connection is not a frivolous connection with the earth. It's like a real deep awakening that you had with Mother Nature, understanding what she brings, the wisdom she gives, all of those things. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I have a few starter questions as well, but I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon here. And sorry, we just had an airplane go over, so I'm muted. So I'm in Melbourne, Australia. So it is early morning for Alan, and over here for me, it is sunshiny afternoon. I've got little chickens coming up to join me. I'm a solo mama of 4, and I am a woman who is deeply passionate about being in connection with my own body, as we spoke about last time. Let me just decline this call that came through. Connecting to my body, connecting to my womb, really connecting to the fact that I am a woman. That's really important to me, and all of the qualities of being a woman. And I am also very passionate alongside that around connecting with the earth. And not just in the sense of putting my feet on her to ground myself or to calm myself, but being in a reciprocal relationship of tending and offering and gifting each other. And I do that through the practice of gardening a lot. I do that through the practice of working with herbs, through living more sustainably, doing the best we can to live more sustainably in a very consumerism, materialistic, modern day life. I do that by taking the time to notice the seasons, to recognize what she's mirroring for me in terms of my own inner seasons. And so it's this really beautiful kind of weaving of tapestry between who I am as a woman and what the earth teaches me about myself as I learn to also give to her in this way.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you describe yourself, because I think that this is good to get off here, but you said that you describe yourself as a proud witch, an earth priestess, and a feminine alchemist. So before we go any further into this discussion, can you describe what those 3 are for the people in my crew?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess these are kind of like archetypal, we could say they're archetypal labels, right? These are parts of my psyche that are prominent within me, parts of myself that are prominent in the expression of me. So we are all of the archetypes. We are all of the things. We are not one thing or another, but these are 3 that have deep meaning for me. So as a witch, that really connects into magic, elemental magic, connecting with the earth. The earth is one of my key places for connecting into magic. And when I say magic, I mean the ability to create my life, to manifest, to shift the energetic flow so that things are in alignment with what is deeply meaningful and valuable to me. Also within that word witch is wise woman, right? It's part of, it's part of connecting to the wisdom of the earth. It's part of connecting to the wisdom of the cycles of the earth, the nature of being with the earth. The witches that were persecuted were the women who were living as closely to a natural state of being as they could, right? That ecological mind, I believe scientifically it's called ecology, that learning to live in harmony with the earth and its natural tendencies and traits, and bringing through the potential of both. So that feeds into like my herbalism and creating my own beauty products and using herbs for healing, you know, all those kinds of things. Earth Priestess is where the devotion comes in.
Yes.
Devotion to the earth and sacred caretaking, right? I said the word reciprocal earlier on. I am not just growing things in the garden so that I can receive something.
Yes.
I'm growing in the garden as a part of supporting the evolution of nature, right? I love to grow heritage variety foods when I can in terms of my fruits and vegetables, right? The old signatures, the old codes, and like stopping things from flowing out of extinction. Like the earth is always wanting to cover herself to protect the soil, right? Planting things helps her to do that, helps to maintain her nutrient balance and all these kind of things. You need to walk away, please. You're standing right next to the camera microphone. No, I'm not. You need a code for the PlayStation. It's not going to work. The code comes on my phone. Please move away. No, you knew you weren't allowed out here. Inside, please.
It's okay. It's all right. This is what life does.
This is what life does. And I knew the minute I sat outside, I was inviting this. But it's especially that devotion part, right? That I guess, like, you could say the earth is the temple I go to. It is the church I go to. It is, you know, it is where I lay my altar, right? My altar is my body and the earth is the temple. It's that place that teaches me about seeing beyond myself.
Yes.
In the priestess archetype, we bring in like the mystic, right? We bring in some of those seeing beyond the seen, right? Without not just these human eyes, but with our eyes that see beyond what is right in front of us. And so we're pairing that up with the word earth, is that my focus point for my devotional energy is to receive her wisdom and learn from her. And the third one, the feminine alchemist, that really plays into the alchemical nature of being a woman. We have this beautiful rhythm that we move through as women with our menstrual cycle in our menstruating years that teaches us about who we're here to be. And it supports us in understanding ourselves on a mental, physical, emotional, spiritual level. And it also teaches us about the life, death, rebirth cycle, which is also mirrored to us by the earth. But in feminine alchemy, it is the understanding that through learning to understand our moving nature, our cyclic nature, we become alchemical. We, in being in alignment with the way we're moving, we naturally start to alchemize things in our lives without having to put in a lot of effort towards that, right? It's inner work that creates our change. That's kind of with the feminine alchemy. That's where I teach women how to understand all of the varying layers within that, the initiatory journey, the way the womb plays into that, the way that we understand ourselves. Those things. It's very rich and deeply layered, and but that's kind of the least of it.
Yes, yes. And I met you through a sacred circle. That's how we ended up being connected. We did the sacred circle together, and that was quite the circle. And I learned a lot about my feminine qualities at that time. I learned a lot about just myself, of what it meant to be a woman. And I feel like you embody that in a way that is very honoring and very precious. But I also know it's been something you've had to fight for as well within yourself, to understand your womanhood and to understand the power and the magic that you possess as, you know, the divine feminine here right on this planet. So could you just do a little bit about that journey of discovering who you are as a woman?
Yeah, absolutely. My journey of discovering myself, like when I kind of think back, a key word that kind of comes through is this word expectation, right? There are things that are expected of us that we should be doing, ways that we are expected to act, expected to speak, things we're expected to hide away, not talk about. and there's very heavy patriarchal influences in this, and also societal influences in this. And the reason we often don't claim that, and the reason I often didn't claim it or didn't even think to, was there was more focus for me on fitting in than getting past my discomfort of being different. And so for me, it was a real journey of learning to not be embarrassed or feel ashamed, or probably those two key words, embarrassed or ashamed of those qualities within me that wanted to be spoken about. Right. And I think a lot of people can relate when we think of kind of the spiritual realm of, those who, like, I read tarot, I teach how to read. Oh, buddy, you're okay. That's it. And, that fear of being like judged for it, right? That fear of, it just needs a rub. That fear of being judged for doing something that a lot of people only believe in. Well, a lot of people only believe in what they can qualify or quantify in front of, right, that they can see.
Yes.
And so we talk about like the spiritual closet a lot, and there is a closet for all of the amazing potencies of women as well, like boom, right? We have feminine hygiene products telling us about not having to let on that we are bleeding, right? Hiding that away, not having to be worried about someone discovering, right? You can wear the white pants and no one will know. Right? Don't touch it, don't show it, all these things. And I had to really learn to overcome that. And also it began with recognizing my own judgments.
Yes.
All those things that I had taken on.
Yeah, I remember. Oh gosh.
As my beliefs, right? I had to recognize, where have I judged for these things in the past? And can I recognize that that's just covering up, my own desires for it, right? And we get a lot of people going, oh, that's not for me. And there is, you can tell when someone says that's not for me from a place of it's genuinely not for me.
Yes.
Or I've got something against that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I looked at those places where I had done that to other women or thought that about other women, and recognized that I wanted to actually discover those myself. And then, of course, I was married at the time, and I had to go through the whole journey of a man who had had his expectations that he had learnt through his life, and the conversations that you have to have with one another to ensure that you remain aligned with one another if you're going to stay married, and him actually having to recognize where he placed expectation that created trauma or things around like sexuality and my body being my own, and that entanglement with love and all those kinds of things as well, right? From that pressure to, are you ready to have sex again after you've had a baby, to, oh, I've been working away for 2 weeks and the first thing, you don't want to jump my bones when I walk through the door. Right. Like all those kind of things, that's what we've been taught is love, is getting back to things like that for someone else. And so we had to go through some challenging times around that as well. And he came for the journey, he came along for the ride with me, and was actually like, when he recognized that, oh yeah, I actually see what you're saying, and where I've done that to you, and I'm so sorry that I did that, and how do I now support you, right? But to get to those conversations I had to overcome it in myself first, and then take that step to actually voice it without fear of what, if there's repercussions or whatever. So yeah, it's been quite the journey.
Yes, lots of healing. I remember you talking about it, and it's something that still is going on, in our lives. We never really just fully arrive. We will always have these layers and these things that come with healing. But to link this a bit with the earth, because I remember you would talk about this in the sacred circle, is just a lot of your healing journey was cultivated even within the earth, understanding the earth and the wisdom that she was giving to you to help you overcome all these stigmas, these expectations, all these things that were put on us as women, right? What we're supposed to look like. And nature isn't trying to look like something. Nature just is its wonderfulness. It's not comparing, it's not doing anything, it's just being its uniqueness. So can you share a little bit about how the earth and your journey of healing coincided together?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I grew up barefoot on a farm. I was very blessed as a child to grow up in New Zealand on 18 hectares. No, sorry, 18 acres. I always get that confused, of land, and be able to run around through thick grass, no fear of snakes like here in Australia, to to walk out my front door during the day, and my mum would, the parents would be inside and you'd be off down the farm doing whatever, and there's no fear that what's going to happen, climbing trees, all these sorts of things.
Yes.
And so that's rooted into me, and it's also in my lineage as well. Like a lot of my extended family have been farmers on both my mum's and my dad's side. A lot, like the vast majority, were farmers as well. So that their cultivation is already, like, it's in my blood. And then there's this, I'm 50% according to ancestry DNA, Scottish as well. And so
Oh my goodness.
that
Okay.
brings in quite a strong land reverence
Yes.
too. There is a lot of reverence to the land that comes through that ancestry for me. The rest of it's Welsh and English, and yeah. But when I came to Australia, what happened is I went from living in these places where we had grass and we didn't air condition our homes. We used heating in winter, but we didn't air condition our homes to hide from the summer. We learned to naturally cool ourselves. Produce was vast and plentiful. And I came to Australia, and the first home we lived in was fully paved with a metal fence, a little heat box, basically. And then the second home, we had this giant backyard, but it didn't really grow a lawn. It just grew weeds because it was all sand and it was too hot, and the soil wasn't very good quality. And then we came to Melbourne and we went straight back to fully paved. And so this is the first home since 2011 that I've lived in that has grass.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
A backyard full of grass.
Yes.
And so, well, that's not quite the question you answered, but you asked, but that there was creating a very deep yearning in me for the earth. And so being able to learn about myself in relation to the earth was filling that gap. Filling that gap for me of having my feet on the ground. That is a part of my being from being born.
Yes.
The earth, like with our cyclic nature, we have these phases and seasons that we move through. And the earth moves through cycles and phases through seasons, right? Everything that grows, I've got little part of my garden that I'm just starting here in this new home that's I'm in. All of these things grow and move in different ways. They have their cycles and their seasons, right? We have things that are annuals that last for a year, and we have things that are perennial and last for more than 1 year. Right? We have things in our lives that last for a short time and things in our lives that last for a long time. Right? And there's this beautiful mirror with the earth that will teach you about yourself without you having to go and find a book. Right? You can say to yourself, right, I'm in the waxing phase of my cycle, the phase from I've finished bleeding to I'm building up a lining to prepare for a fertilized egg, right? That's the waxing phase of our menstrual cycle. And we say, okay, so this is spring and summer in terms of nature. What do I know about spring? Spring, the color starts to return, or the green starts to return, the richness, and it seems richer because there's more light. The days get longer. Oh yeah, I notice that I'm getting more energy as the days go on in this phase. The color starts to bloom. Things feel more vibrant. Oh, I feel more vibrant in this phase of my cycle, right? There's this direct mirroring. And we can also then say, well, what does nature do at that time? Right, seeds germinate and start to emerge from the earth, and then they grow and produce flowers and fruits. Right, that's my invitation to germinate seeds in my life for things that I desire to create and cultivate them to flowering and fruiting. Right? And when you start to realize how much wisdom you can draw from the earth simply through, I mean, that's just through observation, right? That's literally just a skill of observation right there. And you have learned something that is both scientific and spiritual at the same time.
Yes.
Without having to go and take a class or anything like that. And I think that mentoring and teachers are brilliant. I'm one of those.
Yes.
But I think we also need to learn to go, right, they've laid the concept for me. Now I'm going to find the wisdom within it that resonates with my soul, with my heart. And like this, you can't deny that that is there. And so I cannot deny it from being a part of my life. Right? It's never going to disappear.
Yes.
Unless we, are abhorrent to the earth and destroy her, which, there are, concerns around that as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of disrespect for the earth, and a lot of it is unconscious disrespect, right? Like just an absolute lack of care because there is not a recognition for how the earth keeps you alive.
Yes. Talk about that. Yes.
You will not have life if you do not have the earth. And so your life depends on you learning to respect her.
Yes.
Your thriving depends on learning how to support her to thrive. And I think every person, whether you feel like you can grow something or not, whether you have a green thumb or not, every person should learn how to grow something and what it takes to grow something, so that even if it's not something you do lifelong, you recognize the intention and the presence, the focus, the time that is required for the food you choose to go and buy, for the flowers you want to put in a vase on your table, right? For the forest that you want to walk to. Oh, did they lock the door on you? Oh, well, you need to, that just went flat. You need to put the iPad down and then walk inside. It's like, I can't open the door because I'm holding something. Just put it down. Put it down. Like that, this reciprocal relationship, we cannot discard it. We cannot not have it. If we keep concreting, it has to be plugged inside. You're locked out. Let me just go open the door.
No problem.